Okay, so, like I said last time, I am not an expert. I just love UFC and do this for fun. But, as we all know, Khamzat Chimaev was going to fight Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa got injured and pulled out of the fight. And now, Usman is fighting Khamzat Chimaev for the number one contender spot at middleweight on 11 days' notice. But guys, my question is, can Kamaru Usman really beat Khamzat on 11 days' notice? Well, I think that he can. Why? Well, let's have a look at these two fighters. So, who actually is Khamzat Chimaev? Well, at this point, we all know this guy. He's the number 4 ranked welterweight contender in the world, who rose through the welterweight rankings really quickly. He's only actually had one competitive fight in the UFC, and that was against Gilbert Burns, which this fight was an absolute war. But the rest of his fights, he absolutely dominated them. Like Li Jingliang, he literally picked him up and took him over to Dana White. He bullied Kevin Holland. This guy's ridiculously good so far. Anyway, let's look at some of his pros. So, Khamzat has had a training camp. He's been training for this fight for quite a while. Not only has he had a full training camp, his confidence. Khamzat Chimaev knows that he is a good fighter. And not only this, he believes that he can beat anyone. With that self-belief, it's like they say, when a champion wins his belt, he becomes 30% better because he has that mentality. Khamzat Chimaev already knows and believes that he's one of the best fighters. Khamzat's explosiveness. Guys, Khamzat Chimaev is one of the most explosive wrestlers that I've ever seen in the UFC. Maybe along with like the likes of Michael Chandler, which this also actually helps Khamzat Chimaev because this fight's only 3 rounds. That explosiveness in 3 rounds means he can go as hard as he wants against Usman and not have to worry about it being a 5-round fight. As well, guys, Khamzat is hungry. He's never won a UFC title yet, and he is really wanting one. We saw what he was like at welterweight. He was calling out everybody, said he was going to kill everybody to get that title. And he can get that title through beating Kamaru Usman at middleweight. That'll set him up for a title fight with Sean Strickland. But anyway, they aren't all pros with Khamzat. While he not have many cons, we can't forget, at middleweight in his fight against Gilbert Burns, he did seem to lack cardio towards the end of the fight. Now, this becomes a bit of an issue when it comes to 5-round fights. With the 3-round fight against Usman, it won't be as big a deal, but he's really going to have to work on this when it does become time to fight for a championship. As well, I was thinking maybe he didn't have the best cardio at welterweight because of the weight cut, but to be honest, I doubt that. In that fight, he had a really good chin against Gilbert Burns, and if the weight cut was that big of a deal, I feel like he would have got knocked out with some of the punches that he got hit by. As well, Khamzat Chimaev was preparing for someone wanting to strike. Guys, Paulo Costa is a striker who with great takedown defense. So, if it was my guess, I would guess that Khamzat has probably been practicing wrestling and drilling wrestling this entire camp because he's been wanting to take down Costa and bully him on the ground. Guys, I don't think this will work on someone like Kamaru Usman. Usman has been taken down once in the UFC. That was by Leon Edwards. He's fought some ridiculously high-level wrestlers too. The likes of Colby Covington, and Usman's been taken down once in his UFC career. If Khamzat Chimaev's plan is to wrestle with Usman, guys, I don't know if that's going to be a good plan or not. But anyway, let's look at Kamaru Usman. We all know him, and we know that he is good. He's the former UFC welterweight champion, and he won 6 title fights. He beat guys like Tyron Woodley to get the title. He then beat Colby Covington in an absolute war. He beat Gilbert Burns. He beat Masvidal. He beat Masvidal and Colby Covington twice, for goodness sake. I think that Kamaru Usman's up there in the welterweight GOAT conversation. And it's because of those wins that he was ranked the pound for pound number 1. And we can't forget that he's still the number 1 ranked welterweight contender. And in his last fight against Leon Edwards, while he lost, it was a very close fight, and I don't think Usman's done quite yet. So, let's look at some of Usman's pros. Championship mentality. Guys, Kamaru Usman is always in the gym. He's got that championship mentality. He's always training, always practicing, and he knows that he is a good fighter. Guys, not only this, Usman is hungry for that double champ status. He said that he wants to take the belt from Sean Strickland. Beforehand, he did want the champ status, but he thought 2 Nigerians with 2 belts was better than 1 Nigerian with 2 belts. So guys, think about it this way. 2 Nigerians with 2 belts, being him and Israel Adesanya, he believed that to be way more important than him holding 2 belts. But now that Izzy doesn't have the middleweight belt, this is Usman's time to get that middleweight belt. Experience. Guys, Kamaru Usman, like I said, 6 title fight wins. That's not normal for champions in the UFC. This guy, this is why he was pound for pound number 1 for so long. This guy's extremely hard to take down. Like we said before, he's been taken down once in his UFC career. Superior striking as well. Now, with this point, I'm not as confident. I've seen Khamzat in the Gilbert Burns fight. Was quite emotional with his striking. Usman definitely does have decent striking. Like, he did KO Masvidal, and he was piecing up Colby Covington at times in their fights. If you were to look at his last 2 fights, his striking didn't look great, but guys, he was fighting an elite striker in Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards would make anyone's striking look bad. But let's move on to Usman's cons. So, like we all know, 11 days notice. Usman's taking this fight with 11 days notice and no camp. While I said that he has probably been training all year round because of that championship mentality, 11 days notice isn't easy for anyone, especially when it's coming up with a game plan with someone. Like, yeah, he's going to have his coaches to come up with game plan with, but on 11 days notice, it's going to be hard to try and implement that. Age and damage. Guys, it's quite well known that Usman has quite a lot of damage to his body. Like, we've all heard about his knees. It sounds like his knees barely work anymore, to be honest. You know, this comes along with his age. He is getting older. One other thing as well, we don't actually know if Usman's coming into this fight injured or not. While you could say the same about Khamzat, the reason I bring this up is because of the video going around of him. You know, he was wrestling a bit with Justin Gaethje in the open workouts and then taking him down. He said something popped. Now, Usman's came out and said this is wrong, but when I watched the video, to me it sounded like he said something popped, but we'll just have to see what happens. If you haven't seen that video of him saying something popped, check out my shorts on it. I've got a short just highlighting that complete video. So guys, can Usman win this fight against Khamzat? Oh yeah, I think he can. But will it be easy? No way. This isn't going to be an easy fight for Usman to win. To be honest, I can see this fight going either way. Like, I actually think Usman has a decent shot of winning this. I really wouldn't be surprised if he did win it, to be honest. He was the pound for pound number 1 for 2 solid years. And I can see Usman having a good shot, not only at winning this fight against Khamzat, but to be honest, beating Sean Strickland for the title. But guys, the reason I say this isn't an easy fight for Usman is Khamzat is hungry. He wants everybody. Not only does he want everybody so he can fight for the title, but he has expressed previously quite a lot of times that he's wanted Usman. He has wanted to fight Kamaru Usman for a long time. And when you've got someone as hungry as Khamzat, well, There's a reason they call him the Wolf. He's out for blood, and he wants that middleweight title. But guys, let me know who you all think's going to win this fight. I think it'll be quite a close fight. I'm not sure who will win. I'm probably leaning a bit more towards Khamzat, but you can never count someone like Kamaru Usman out. But guys, that's what I think. And I'll see you in the next one.